How are you people? This is Teacher Felix and I bring Mathematics Lesson 6, Standard 8. And today I want us to continue looking at this topic, measurement, money, where we were looking at simple interest. And in our last lesson, I promised that we are going to look at diverse examples of questions set under this topic or this subtopic. And as usual, before we proceed, we have our lesson objectives. And our lesson objective says, by the end of this lesson, the learner should be able to work out questions involving simple interest. Now, that is our objective, that we are going to work out questions that involve simple interest without any difficulty, because now we are going to look at a bit complicated, a bit different questions from what we had looked at. In our introduction, I'm saying we had looked at some of the examples of questions on simple interest. In this lesson, we will be looking at diverse ways in which this content can be tested. Remember, simple interest is found by or is calculated by multiplying principal by the rate by the time and the product divided by 100. In simple words, we said simple interest is equals to principal times rate times time over 100%. And I think I explained the reason why we should put it out of 100%. Now, let us look at more examples. We are not going to discuss the introduction so much because this is a continuation of the same content we had looked at under interest. And I want to remind you, we said, why do we talk about interest, simple interest? We said simple interest is a way of calculating the additional money the borrower pays after borrowing, or the extra money given to the person who deposits money in the bank at the end of the agreed period. Okay, so let us look at these examples. Now, we have example 1, and our example 1 says, Oduor invested a certain amount of money in a business that paid simple interest at the rate of 11% per annum. At the end of 9 months, and underline the word 9 months. The word 9 months, remember I told you when interests are, the rates are per annum, and sometimes you are given time in months, you should be very careful. And they are saying at the end of 9 months, he withdrew 1,155 shillings, which was the interest the money had earned. I'll repeat, Oduor invested a certain amount of money in a business that paid simple interest at the rate of 11% per annum. At the end of 9 months, he withdrew 1,155, which was the interest the money had earned. So 1,155 is the interest. Remember, the period is 9 months, and we are told it is per annum. The rate is per annum. Now, how much money had he invested? How much money had he invested? Now, in this case, what do they want us to calculate? Look at this question. Can you listen to the examiner? We have just been told Oduor invested some money in a business. We are not told how much the money was. And remember, the money that is invested, the money that is deposited, or the money that is borrowed, we said is called principal. So in this case, we don't have the principal, and that is what they want us to calculate. We will apply the formula, and I will repeat, boys and girls. I told you, for any mathematical question that has a formula, whenever that question is written, ensure your argument, your working is based on the formula. Use the formula, and in the formula, replace what is in the question in the formula, and then the rest, you just look at them. You just calculate. And in mathematics at your level, you will only be given one thing missing. They cannot give you two parts of the formula missing. They will only give you one part of the formula missing. So apply the formula, write what is in the question in the formula, then the rest, you look for it. Like in this our question, we have our formula, simple interest is equals to principal times rate times time over 100. Now, principal, we don't have the principal as we have agreed. That is what they want us to look at. So I'm saying, let the principal be P. We use letter P. Rate is 11% per annum. Time 9 months. Time 9 months. Remember the rate is per annum. Annum meaning per year. So I told you if the rate is per annum, make sure that even time is years. So 9 months is the same as 3 over 4 years. How do we get 3 over 4? 9, we put it out of 12. When you change months into years, you divide them by 12. So 9 over 12, to make it a year, you simplify 9 over 12, you will get 3 over 4. So our time is 3 over 4 years. Remember, we said 3 over 4 is the same as 0.75. So 3 over 4 is the same as 0.75 as a decimal. I like using decimals, but if you don't like using decimals, you can just use the year when it is 3 over 4. Okay, so we are here. Now we go back to our formula and our question. We had principal, we don't have, rate we have, time we have. So the interest, simple interest, SI, simple interest we are told was 1,155. That is the simple interest in the formula. Is equals to, we don't have P, write P, times rate 11 times time 0.75 out of 100. So in this our formula, this is the simple interest is equals to principal times rate times time over 100. Now we are going to work for P and see what this P is. So we are going to say 1,155 is equals to, if you multiply 11 by 0.75 by P, you will get 0.0825. P, 0.0825P. That is P times 11 times 0.75 over 100. You get 0.0825P is equals to 1,155, which is the simple interest. Now, if you want to remain with P, you divide both sides by P, by the value attached to P. You divide both sides by the value attached to P. The value attached to P here is 0.0825. So we are going to divide both sides by 0.0825. You do that. I know you like removing the decimals, so we will remove the decimals. If you remove the decimals, here we have how many decimal places? 1, 2, 3, 4. So we multiply by 10,000. Both sides. What you do on the left is done on the right, for you to know to change the question. So if you do that, we will have, this is 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 11,550,000 over 825 is equals to 825 over 825. But 825 on the other side has a P. So if you calculate, because this one is the same as this, so they will cancel. So you remain with P is equals to, if you divide this one, you simplify this equation, this sum, you will get P is equals to 14,000. If you divide this one, you will get P is equals to 14,000. So the principal was 14,000. And after getting your answer, you can try working it out. Can you use this one as the principal? The rate we have, 11%, then time is 0.75 for 3/4 months. you'll get your answer as 1,155 as the simple interest. And again, at this point, I know some of us could have decided to use 9 over 12. It is okay. You are to use 9 over 12, and when you use 9 over 12, ensure that the 9 over 12, you put it in the numerator, then you divide by 100. Your answer you divide by 100. Remember, I told you sometimes when the time is in months, you are supposed to put the months out of 12. You can do that, still the answer will be the same. You use 9 over 12 to make it in years. But the same thing, if you work it out, you will get 0.75. So that was example 1, where we are asked to look for the principal. Example number 2. But again, before I proceed, I want to tell you this. If you cannot follow the formula, if you are not able to follow the formula at all, and this one only applies in our exams. This one will only apply when you are in our exams, you are in an exam room, the formula has refused to work for you, you really need those 2 marks. This is a short way of doing it. I will tell you this, but again, with caution, because this method may not help you very much when you go to high school. But at our level, you can also use the answers. The answers are only 4. So can you use the answers? If it is choice A was saying 15,000, can you use 15,000 as the principal and see whether you can get the interest that was given in the question? Choice B maybe was talking about 13,500. Can use 13,500 as the principal to calculate and see whether you can get the interest, which was 1,155. Like that, you can get the answer. But I'm saying and I'm repeating with a lot of caution, because if you do that in high school, you may not be able to get, because in high school, we don't have choices. So the best thing is know the formula, because the formula will help you to work it out at any point, whether you have the answers or the choices or not. So in that question, we have said the money invested was shillings, or was 14,000 shillings. That is the amount of money Oduor had invested. Number 2, we have our number 2 here, and it says Asha deposited 4,800 in a bank, which paid interest at the rate of 12% per annum. How much did she have in the bank after 6 months? Another question, they are bringing months. The rate is per annum. Be very careful, boys and girls. Whenever you are working out these questions, be very careful with the rate and time. Is it given in months? Is the rate charged per month or per annum? Be very careful. So in this case, we are going to have deposit. The deposited amount of money was 4,800, which is the principal. The rate is 12% per annum. Then time is 6 months. 6 months in years, because the rate is per year. It's half a year. 6 months is half a year, or 6 over 12 is half. So apply the formula. Simple interest, principal times rate times time. Principal is 4,800, rate is 12%, time is 6 months or half a year. So we shall say 4,800 times 12 times 0.5. Half is also same as 0.5. Half is also the same as 0.5. So 4,800 times 12 times 0.5 out of 100. You work out that one, simplify the numerator, denominator, you will get 288 as the interest. Remember, the question was asking, how much did she have in the bank after 6 months? Listen to the question. How much did she have in the bank after 6 months? So this one is asking about the total amount of money Asha had in the bank after 6 months. 288 we have found here is just the interest. So we are going to add the interest. We are going to add the interest plus the amount the Asha had deposited, which was 4,800. This is just the interest, but the question wants the amount in the bank, not the interest in the bank. The whole, how much did she have in the bank? So meaning it is the money she had taken to the bank plus the money she had deposited had earned as interest. So this one gives us 288 plus 4,800. If you add this one, you will get 5,000. So this one will give us 5,088. 5,088. So Asha had 5,088 shillings in the bank. Asha had 5,888 shillings in the bank. She had accumulated 5,088 shillings. And why did we add? We are adding because the total amount in the bank is the interest, which is 288, plus the money taken to the bank or deposited in the bank, which is 4,800. Have you understood that? This is a question asking us total amount. Total amount. Good. Let us proceed to the next question. Maloba deposited 8,000 shillings in a financial institution that paid simple interest at the, Maloba deposited 8,000 in a bank or in a financial institution that paid simple interest, and at the end of 3 years, his money had amounted. Be very also mark those points. At the end of 3 years, this money had amounted to 9,200. At what rate per annum was the simple interest awarded? Now, Maloba deposited 8,000 in a financial institution that paid simple interest. At the end of 3 years, this money had amounted to 9,200. The 8,000 he had taken to the bank had become 9,200. So, meaning there's some interest the money has earned. What is this interest that the money has earned? Okay, at first, 8,000 is the principal, the money deposited, the principal, time 3 years. In this case, we don't have the rate. So we are saying apply the formula, replace in the formula what you have in the question, the rest just come by itself. Now, the principal times rate times time over 100 is the formula for simple interest. 8,000 is the principal. Rate, we are talking about something we don't know. So we are saying let the rate be R per annum. Time is 3 years. Now interest or simple interest, how much interest had this money earned? If I took to the bank 8,000 and now in the bank I have 9,200, what has been added? Or what has added on top of my 8,000? It is simply subtraction. So if you subtract 9,200, what is in the bank, minus what I took to the bank, you'll get what had been added to my money. So this one will give us 1,200. So this is the interest the money had earned. How do you get the interest? Subtract the amount in the bank minus the amount taken to the bank. So apply the formula. Principal times rate times time over 100 is equals to simple interest. Simple interest we have said is 1,200 now. This is the interest is equals to 8,000, which is the principal, times R that we don't know, times 3 out of 100. And I will repeat. How did you get 1,200? This is the interest. How did you get this interest? It is simply subtracting what was in the bank at the end of 3 years minus what Maloba took in the bank at the beginning. So you get the interest the money had earned. Okay, so 1,200 is equals to 8,000 times rate times 3 over 100. You simplify this one. 8 times 3 is 24. 2 zeros will cancel 2 zeros. So 240 R is equals to 1200. You divide both sides by 240, the value attached to R, the value attached to unknown. You divide both sides with the value attached to the unknown. The value attached to the unknown here is 240. So divide both sides by 240, you will get R being 5%. 240 divides 1200 5 times. So the rate was 5%. And again, I'll tell you, in such a scenario, in case you cannot get the rate by calculation, again, at your level in primary school, you can also apply the use of the answers, though not encouraged much. Though not encouraged much. This is only for those who are pushed to the wall. Those who are under critical condition of getting the right answer can use that method of applying the answers or trying out the answers. It is called trial and error method. Only for those who are in critical situations where they cannot work out using the formula, but try as much as possible to apply the formula. Replace in the formula what is there in the question. The rest shall come by themselves. That was number 3. Let's go to number 4 and see. A trader deposited 300,000 shillings in a bank, not at a bank. This one should be in a bank. Trader deposited 300,000 shillings in a bank that paid simple interest at the rate of 5% per annum. How much money was in her account? And listen to that statement. How much money? That one does not ask interest. It is the whole amount. How much money was in her account in the bank at the end of 2 years? How much money was in the account at the end of 2 years? Solution. Apply the formula. Same principle here is 300,000. Rate 5% per annum. Time 2 years. Rate is per annum. Time is per year. Years. So we don't have a problem with that. So 300,000 times time times rate 5 times 2 time over 100. You calculate that one. You get 30,000. But listen to the question. How much money was in her account at the end of 2 years? So the total amount. So here, this is the interest alone. So we are going to have interest. If you want to get total amount, we shall have interest plus the deposit or the deposited amount, the principal, which was 300,000. Add 30,000 plus 300,000. This one will give us 330,000. 330,000. So this person had accumulated 330,000 shillings in the bank. This person had accumulated 330 shillings in his bank account. And I'm repeating, why did we add? We added because the principal, the amount this person took to the bank was 300,000. And the question is asking, how much money was in her account? This is a female. How much money was in her account in the bank at the end of 2 years? So what we got as 30,000, this was just the interest alone. This was just the interest alone. The total amount in the bank is the interest earned plus the total amount taken to the bank. The total amount taken to the bank was 300,000. The money had earned 30,000, so the total is 330,000 shillings. We are here in number 5, which seems to be our last example. Waithera borrowed 10,000 shillings for a period of 2 years. Waithera borrowed 10,000 shillings for a period of 2 years. She was charged simple interest at the rate of 15% per year. How much interest? Now this one is only asking how much interest did she pay all together? Simple. Principal times rate times time over 100. Principal is 10,000 shillings. Rate 15% per annum. Time 2 years. Since this is per year, this is years, we don't have a problem with that. And look at how I have been working out these questions. I am very keen at the end of the question, and I'm very keen at the rate and time. You again, as you do this work, make sure you are very keen at question part, whether they're asking the whole amount or the interest alone, and also be very careful with the time given depending on the rates. Now, we are working out simple interest, principal times rate times time out of 100. So if you calculate this one, you will get 3,000. So the 3,000 was the interest. 3,000 was the interest. And because this question was asking the interest alone, the answer remains 3,000. If they were asking the whole amount of money that was in the bank, then you are to add this interest plus the principal, which was the money borrowed from the bank. But for this case, they are only asking how much interest. So how much interest was in the bank? So, or did she pay? How much interest did she pay? So the interest was 3,000 shillings. Up to that moment, I want to wish you well. And I want to tell you that we are going to give work. I'm going to give work for this exercise we have done on simple interest commission starting from Tuesday. In the exercise we are going to do on Tuesday, we'll have some work. Therefore, be prepared to do that work. Send it back to me for marking because it is very important. I wish you well. See you tomorrow in our next lesson. You are my good boys and girls. Continue learning because I say learning is sweet. Goodbye.